Hello, everyone. It is Cheryl Hickerson, CEO of Females in Finance. And today I have my friend and recruiter extraordinaire, Miss Stephanie Roberts. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Cheryl?
I am spectacular. And I'd love for you to first start off telling everybody, what is it? Tell us about your greatness, as I'd like to say.
All right. Well, I am Stephanie. I'm the owner of Humans Being Resources, and we are a direct hire permanent placing recruiting firm that specializes within the financial services industry. And we work with financial firms all across the United States to help with various positions, anything from a receptionist on up to even a advisor without a transferable book. So
Love that. And, you came so highly recommended to me by our mutual friend, Coach Joe Lucas. And he
mhm.
was like, yeah, and then you are so generous and have sponsored our career center at Females in Finance. So we're able to go out there, not only place the jobs that you have others in the profession as too. And as well, we've newly added a section for those looking for job
Yep.
placement too. So if you are watching this now, or you know somebody who is actively looking for a job, we now have that little wonderful public placement there so people can come in and be like, I'm looking for a job, because we want to definitely place our obviously our female members, but also our male allies too. So that kind of jumps me right into a question that I have for you. I kind of know some of the answers, but I always like to hear how you share this. Why hire a third party person to come in and help with the recruiting process? Talk about that if you don't mind.
Time is the big one.
Yeah.
The amount of time and money that it would save you, because especially just kind of from the financial side of it, being an advisor or within a financial firm, their time is better spent in front of clients or working in their business, and not so much
Absolutely.
playing a recruiter or a hiring manager in that matter. So based on the research that we've done over the years and our experience, we have found that on average we can save a firm about 90 hours of time
90
uh,
hours. Oh my
over the
gosh.
course of, yep.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Plus, so time is a big one, but also just the levels that we go through, depending on which option they would go, if we're talking about our firm, which option they would go with. So, we do a lot of passive recruiting. That's
Yeah.
where we find a lot of our success is, anybody can post a job on the job board. However, let's be honest, those job boards are very flooded right now.
Yeah.
So your job ad is more likely going to get lost. I think right now, I did a recent search, like just in the Tampa area for a office assistant, and there is well over 200 job ads out there right now. So I
So
think
that's
having somebody.
that's really overwhelming to not just the person who's looking, because it's like, how do you throw I'm an analogy person, right? It's like throwing the breadcrumbs into the water and the fish go, you know,
Oh yeah,
then how do you pick which is the right fish? Right. So it's like, wait, that one's gone. That's the part to me that's so overwhelming. Like
right.
I own a business. If I had to today to go look for a job, I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't even know what that process looks like today, which is a space of privilege to some degree, I realize. But it's because it's become so overwhelming with candidates that are completely, they're hireable, they're wonderful, but then the jobs, like finding the right placement of for me, like what does that
Right.
look like today? Although let's be honest, I'm a horrible employee. We've already discussed this.
Well,
Yeah.
and to your point though, like you said, on the candidate level what that looks like, but can you imagine on the hiring manager's
Yeah.
perspective receiving all those resumes? Because what it has created is for the candidates to just do quick apply. So even they're not reading the full description, they're not reading the full requirements. So you're getting a lot of unqualified candidates applying to your registered client service job. And so as the hiring manager, you have to spend time going through all those resumes to vet out to find the ones that are qualified versus unqualified. So that's where, we really save a lot of time in that aspect, because we do that for you.
And the unqualified, I want to touch on this for a second too, because I find this really interesting based on what you just said about time. I really hope that quality organizations out there, if there are unqualified people, still please send a no thank you letter, Just don't not reply, because it really does leave. And I'm going to speak about it from the female centric part of this. It's like we're wanting the unknown.
Right.
Like, did they get it? Are they going to get back? Are they? We're all big, boys, girls, however someone. Let's get back to people. That requires time, and I realize that that's part of where they go back and go, yeah, I don't want to put the time into that. And I think it's important that they do get a no, thank you.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. And so it's really, and I hear the women, they come to me on the down low on the back side of Females in Finance, and they say, hey, Cheryl, I'm looking, or hey, this person, I applied for this job. They didn't even get back to me. That really actually frosts me a little bit. I'm like, for real? They didn't get back. They're like, no, they don't get back. So there's a lot of them. So if you're the person out there that is not getting back, I literally just said this to you. Yes, I'm judging you. Get back to people. If you've made a commitment to put a job out there is a yes and a no. So the no's still deserve to have closure on that. So I really appreciate the fact that, so going back to this for a quick second too, that candidate search, when you're out there looking for someone to bring into your firm, and in talking about the time, you said 90 hours. And I'm thinking that's 2+ hours of work week. I mean, if you just work 40 hours a week, which very rarely, I feel like anybody does that anymore now, they work more from home. What are some of the skills that organizations out there looking for when they're sort of casting, if you will, the reel of looking for someone? What are they actually looking for?
So, the calls that we receive kind of vary. I think it depends on the level of position. However, that's where in our position, we really try to take the time to educate our clients and really educate them on what the market is like nowadays. While I think, there's still a lot of firms that we get calls from that want an abundance of experience or this licensing. And that's where then I try to really reel them back and remind them of what the industry really is like right now and what the hiring market is really like. And, there are some really good candidates out there who just, maybe they don't have that 5 years of experience. They have 1 year of experience, but they have the good communication skills. They have the good client interaction skills. That those customer service skills are very high, valuable,
So, the soft skills. Yeah. The soft skills, they matter. And, I think something too, you touched on something, the very first job I got in financial services, it's kind of a joke. And I show this for those who are actually, watching this back. I moved to San Francisco when I was 19 years old. Why? Because I grew up in Missouri and I wanted to have this exciting life. And I remember watching TV. I actually thought when I moved to California that police cars were black and white because they were on the television. So when I got there, I was like surprised that they weren't. Okay. They're not all the time. Anyway, point is that I get there and I was broke like in a hot second. So I went and did what nobody should do, which was go into Kinko's in Berkeley, California. And I copied the resume out of the book, like verbatim. Let's just be honest, verbatim. It worked for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. So I did it, sent it off, faxed it to the wrong number. I can't make any of this up. If you think there's not divine intervention, and I get a phone call and it sounded like this. I think you're looking for something else, but we're hiring. And so there was an insurance office. It's, it's like the gateway to financial services, I feel like. But the gateway to that was this building, a 333 Market building in San Francisco. And I took the subway and I thought it was so cool. I felt like Mary Tyler Moore. I walked up to the end. I wanted to throw my hat and be like, I'm here. But here's the thing. I didn't have any skills, none. The man who hired me, who's still one of my mentors to this very day, Robert Brumby, he said that what I brought to the table was new, fresh eyes. And I think this is really important for organizations. We don't want the same old anymore. Sometimes those really fresh set of eyes come in and say, well, why are you doing it like this? Did you know there's a better way? Did you know you could do it? And I think women intuitively are solutionists. They will get a problem and then they fix it. They find a way to fix it. And I think that that's really, and I do sort of, I'm overgeneralizing to some degree, but I think that's really important to the organizations that are looking for candidates today, because to your point, they can't always afford those licenses. They can't afford to go do that. And so my very first class I ever took was on this floppy disk. It's right here. Remember these things when this thing used to get jammed and then your whole life was ruined. because this was run. Young people, you have to Google it. It was a pain. You guys have no idea how lucky you are to be able to log in and do something, because we used to get these in the mail. But that organization that hired me invested in me.
Right.
I turn out so bad. Look at me today. And it was a return on the impact of what they had in my life. So I think that as you're listening to this, whether you're the candidate looking or you're the organization looking, sometimes we have to relax our brain a little bit and relax, because you and I think we're on a call together where it was a male ally who had a job listing that I am not kidding. This, like, it was as deep as my whole torso. And I'm looking at that. And then of course I look at how much he was, paying. I was like, whoa, hold on there, buddy. And then all of them were like, yeah, let's give some feedback on this, shall we? Should we get, he actually narrowed it down. And you are very good at saying, like, hey, I think this is a nice to have. So like, let's have a nice to have list. That's not, because what we see a lot of times as women is that we have to have all the skills and more. Like, we got to come fully 150% in. And I know for a fact that and I'm sorry, men, you don't come at me in the comments, but they will be like, I could do it. Fake it till I make it. So it's a very different look of what you're coming out. And I think this is where your organization of Humans Being Resources, you look at those and go, yeah, let's talk about this listing.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Those are one of my favorite calls, when you have somebody call in that, I need 5 years of experience and they must have these 3 licenses and I want to pay 55,000. What?
No.
No, you do realize now we're in 2023.
Yeah.
That is not going to work.
Yeah. And we do have some older professionals out there that are, I always likened it to like my dad, who I remember going to school in high school, and he would like to try to give me like 50 cents to think. And I'm like, even in 1989, I'm like, this isn't cutting it. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's very much so not today. And yet I shared with you, I had a girlfriend of mine who went on Facebook, who was an HR manager, a full blast on how this young person came in, had the audacity, remember the word, he had the audacity to ask for work from home. Like, that's earned. And I was like, yeah, you've become my dad. You're like the 50-cent piece person. No. And this is where I think it's really important for individuals such as yourself, because you come in and you literally mediate between those and say, hey, I understand it's a nice to have.
Yes.
However, we're talking about, the real F word in financial services in our world is flexibility. We've got, especially when you're talking about women who are the main caregivers oftentimes, and they do have children and such. And I found that every time, at least in my years of working and managing others, the more often that I gave that person the flexibility to come in after they've dropped the kids off or go home to pick them up, the harder they worked during the time, because they were so grateful to find someplace that saw them, the person, the employee, versus just somebody who clocked in at 9, clocked out at 5. Like, that was, to me, a real big differentiator. And I think that you're navigating a new world after pandemic,
right?
What you're doing. And I think that that's valuable.
Yeah. And that's where I think also using a outside agency is helpful, is because we have these conversations on a daily basis with the candidates. We have daily conversations with other clients. So we're able to use all of that real experience and those real conversations to be able to help steer you in the right direction. And really, so when we have somebody that calls in and says, I've been trying to hire for this position for 5 months now, and I haven't found anybody. Once we start drilling down, it's like, well, here's why, so we can really help them, to be able to find that right person. And you're right. Remote, if you're not willing to do remote, then offering hybrid is definitely an option as well, because it is just kind of the times we're in. I couldn't tell you how many times I talk to candidates that say they feel like they can focus better. There's less distractions when they work from home. Less interruptions from whether it's coworkers or even their advisor. So remote is huge right now.
Yeah, I think that's really incredible that, the space you're navigating today, that HR didn't have to do this, pre-2019. Let's just be honest. I mean, we would still be in the dark ages, if you will. And now all of a sudden, people were like, hey, wait a second. And I think that that's something else too that you just said that is extremely worthy of, revisiting for a second. And that is, I think there's this misnomer that people think just because they're working from home, they're not doing anything. I have to tell you, I get more done when my cheek is in this seat. And I mean, yeah, I got cats as coworkers. We all know this. Okay. That's about the biggest distraction I have. And they just lay in the window and sleep all day unless I get up to get coffee and they come with me. But I mean, I don't have people coming up all the time. I don't have even an inbox that's going bing, 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 bang, bang. Okay. And so I'm getting, the amount of work I unload now, it's amazing. So I do think that those listening who are hesitant to go there really stop and think, have a conversation with Stephanie. One of the things you also said that I hope someone heard, if you have a position that has been sitting there and staling and stalling out, okay, I really think that's the time. I'm not doing a good job myself. I need help.
Right.
If you've been looking for, what would you say? If you've been looking for more than X amount of weeks.
I mean, even if it's been sitting there, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's time to move. Time
it's
to do
time
something different.
to do something drastic. Yeah, it is. And because you still have to bring that person in, teach them the policies and the procedures and ways, that takes a little bit of time. You have to give them some flexibility in that. I get that. So the more that you're sitting there thinking, I can do it myself, don't be a martyr. That's not the hill you die on in this business, because your business will die if you continue to sit there, especially if you're bleeding out and you need the help. And I encourage that so much, because the feedback and the testimonials on our Career Center page from those who have used your services are phenomenal. And I think that that's another testament to of the work that you do, and why you're so good at this, and why we appreciate you so much. So in closing, I'm kind of tell others how they can get in touch with you. Like what's a good way to, start a conversation.
Yeah. So, and real quick, I wanted to backtrack. I had this
Oh,
thought
yeah.
just come to my head as we were talking about, outsourcing, and, another important piece is team culture. And so I think that's where else we really help too. So the personality assessments we have available to us that we utilize within our services.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on which option they go with, we do utilize personality assessment. And even in our top tier option, their entire team can participate in that personality assessment. And then it's used as a benchmark for candidates coming in. So it really helps when you're talking about team culture. And, because I get a lot of candidates that's what's important to them, is really a good team and good atmosphere. So
going back to this for a quick second too, on the assessment. So I told you I had a Kolbe done.
Right.
Oh gosh. I had this Kolbe done, and the first time I had it, I thought, I don't know about this stuff, but I have to tell you, I remember my exact response was, I feel exposed. Like I did. I was looking at the page the whole time, and my husband came home and I had printed it out. I usually keep it actually right here somewhere. And it was, I'm a high starter, a quick start. Is anybody? Come on. I jump out of the plane and I just sew this parachute on the way down. I'm like, it's all going to be good. My husband, 95 YouTube channels he'll watch, different videos on how to do something. Okay. Very different. Okay. I'm like a risk 99, as Aaron Klein would say. And he's like a 2. Okay. So we're good. We balance each other. I'm a idea monkey, as Mike Maddock would say, and he's the ringleader. Okay. But I have to tell you, the assessment, what I found really fascinating about it is, for someone who's a quick start, I'm a pseudo implementer, which means I'll do it. Is it my best use of my time? No, absolutely not. I need to hire someone for that. That is where doing those assessments. And guess what? For those who are also yourselves, think about if you came to to apply for something and you already knew what your Kolbes were. You already knew what those are. There are some assessment sites out there that I can, I'm happy to send anybody to, if they want to really find out, that you can kind of do some of that, but you can also just do it. It's fairly reasonable. And I think it actually moves you higher up the hireable scale when you already have your assessments done, because you need to be hiring for somebody who fills that need.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a wonderful person. I can say that. It's my affirmation. I'm a wonderful person. I am not right for everybody.
Yeah.
I would drive another quick start probably nuts because
And
they
that's
want
exactly what our tool does.
exactly
It's not Kolbe, but it's, similar,
similar.
but
Yeah.
it definitely does help kind
And
of
that's
put
just an
those.
example because I know there's
Yes. Yeah.
discs, there's a bunch of them out there, but I think if they come and they have some of these already done and you can kind of look at it and assess it and say, oh, wait a second, I know this is a good space for you. I hope that what we take away from that is assessments aren't saying that you are lacking in an area.
Right. Right.
That's the thing I did like about Kolbe, because at the end of it, it goes, congratulations, this is who you are. Like, it didn't make you feel bad at all. Like, hey, I'm crazy and wild. All right. Yeah, I know this already, but not the way that they exposed me, because they exposed all of me. And I felt very, very naked in a career sense. Like, oh my gosh, I'm fully exposed here. And it actually helped me long term, because then I can say, well, okay, I did start saying, I wish David Wood were here, because I go, Colby made me do it. Colby made me. We always say that to one another. Colby made me do it. But I do think that there's a lot of value in that, and knowing who you are as a professional,
Right.
and why you do what you do as a professional. Because some of it we can fake a little bit. For the most part, we got our ways we do things, and that's okay. We just have to find you the right space in that. So, okay, going back to, how do people work
Yep.
with you?
Yeah. So honestly, connecting on LinkedIn, I would say, is just the number one spot. You can always just connect with me, message me.
We
Also,
have all
all
your,
my contact info is on there too, but also on our career page, on the
it
Females in
is.
Finance page.
Yeah, as I say, we have your deets. We know how to get people in front of you, but this has been so information, just informative, honestly. And I didn't know about the assessment. Like, I feel like every time I talk to you, and we talk quite a bit, I feel like every time I talk to you, there's a new layer of the onion that just, unflowers there. And I'm like, I didn't know they did that. I didn't know they did that. So it's just it's a breath of fresh resources of what you do in the recruiting space. And again, so grateful that you partner with us and that you work with our professionals, and you're just delightful.
Oh, you're
Like
so sweet, Cheryl. But you're the one to thank. I have to say, your Rolodex memory
yeah, I
is
know.
amazing.
Okay. I do have to say that the one thing I told somebody recently, and I think I told you on a call I too, I said, somebody said, like, what's the worst thing that happened? I'm like, Alzheimer's. For me, that is it. Like, that's my craziest worry in the world, is because my memory is so sharp. And my kids hate it. Sorry, children. Because they'll start to say something. I'm like, wait a second. They're like, she's not.
That's not what you said 6 months ago. I
Yeah,
remember.
I
I remember
know.
where we
my
were.
my son's 35, like, he's a full man, right? And he'll say, Mom, when are you gonna get that? When are you gonna start getting like that? Oh, like, it hasn't happened. I'm 52 and it hasn't happened yet, dude. You're out. Sorry, don't have to tell you. So, all right, well, this has been wonderful. Look forward to connecting you to more people. I try to every single time, and you're just
Appreciate it.
such a wonderful person in our community. And honestly, I just enjoy sending people to you. You're delightful.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Absolutely. Thank you.